By the light of the stars, I was hunting again for a mean old troll in a third-level den. I'd been lucky so far, this was old school rules. I should have been cautious, should have used my tools. The path was leafy and the way was dim. The DM cracked a smile, but I ignored him. And then I fell into a spike pit.
Hello, I'm Colin Green, and you are listening to Spike Pit, episode 125. Roll up, yes, it's time again for some Spike Pit, and we are going to be talking predominantly 5e, continuing on the theme. Got some comments from folks following up on a couple of questions that I asked, and following up on call-ins by other listeners. So today it's a little bit different for me. I'm recording in the car because I'm at Royal Ashdown Forest. It's the Faldo Series golf tournament for my eldest son. He's teeing off in about 45 minutes, and it looks to be a beautiful day on a very lovely old course. So yes, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to some RPG content. At the top of the show, we heard the crazy Spike Pit theme, and you may or may not be aware that that has kindly been created and donated to myself by Logan Howard. He sent it in with his best wishes, and he's the man behind such great creative feats as Swordbreaker Zine, the Swordbreaker podcast, and he's now got a Patreon set up. So all things Swordbreaker, all things awesome, the man Logan Howard, and we hear from him now. He's called into the show with his thoughts on hit points.
Hey Colin, it's Logan. Really enjoying your 5e series. Hey, on that average hit points thing, I'm with you and Froth. I really feel like anything that prevents the GM from piddling around with dice by themselves is a benefit, especially when you're just about to get into action. Really, no matter what duration your show is, long, short, whatever, I'll be listening to Spike Pick. Have a good one.
Thank you for your kind words, Logan. And yeah, piddling around, the DM piddling around with dice at the crucial point just before an encounter is, for me, not ideal. I tend to make a bit of a hash of things at that point if I'm not careful, and I like the way you put it. And Logan's speaking to a point there that came up in a discussion between myself and Froth, the 40er. And it ties in with this idea of low hit point creatures as well, your sort of mooks and minions. I think they're another great time saver. I think they add the sort of a drama that comes from just having a mass of baddies descending upon you. And just one hit, I like to do them, just one hit, one and done, and they're gone. But, you know, it's actually getting that hit. Sometimes that's harder than it sounds. But I do like the drama, just masses of baddies, be they sort of some type of undead or serpents or rat creatures, all the usual suspects descend upon the party and, you know, are baying for their blood. And then you get your moment to shine as a hero, you know, possibly using some cleaving rules so you can even take out 2, perhaps 3 if you're a really competent warrior. I don't know, I just love it. I just love all that stuff. And just because they're simple and potentially weak foes don't mean they need to be boring. You could just say, so they're one-hit wonders, they've got a super low armor class, you can almost not miss, but when they die, perhaps they've got this like a real, say they're like these real dry, weak kind of zombie creatures that when you splat one or cut one apart, all these mold spores float out into the air, and the more you destroy, the worse this situation gets, almost creating a kind of a timer. And then perhaps there's so much of this fine dust in the air, it could become potentially explosive, or perhaps there's some sort of disease, so there's saving throws involved, so you could have a nasty little twist. You're cutting through them, but all the time the hazardous environment is increasing, and I don't know, I just like things like that, and it creates this timer, and I do like a timer, and it maybe opens the idea up to different ways for ending a combat. You know, commonly perhaps either side will flee or either side will be destroyed. What are some other ways that a combat can end without one of those scenarios? So yeah, food for thought, I feel.
Hey, ho, let's go. The kids are losing their minds. Spike Pit. Love this 5e topic. I forgot to leave my impressions after I had provided the little bit of history on the DMG. Wanted to let you know that I am enthusiastically behind 5th edition. I have been DMing it for over 3 years now. I think the strengths of the system is the utility of it. The basic rules that you have described and shown to everybody that you can get for free are the reason why. You can go ahead and take things away from this system, but it's very difficult to break it, in my humble opinion. And if you do want to go complex, they've provided you with enough support materials and things such as D&D Beyond to help you manage the game, both as a player and a DM. I think it's a big hit. And I also love all of the OSR games too, now being a big supporter of Old School Essentials. Take care. Great show.
Hey ho indeed. And that's Angus from Kirby's Kids, a podcast that Angus does with Ray Otis. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. He deals mostly with himself and Ray talking about graphic novels. There's a good lot of episodes up there now. I've just listened to the Elric stuff they did and thoroughly enjoyed it, as I'm sure you will too if you give it a try. Now, Angus hits on something very close to my heart with 5e. This idea that they give you this information, okay? So there's loads and loads in these big old thick hardbacks, and I will be the first to say, initially I found it all a little bit overwhelming. I still came into it kind of gradual because I picked up the starter set, which has got a very very nice slim booklet of rules. Then I think I picked up or printed out the basic rules as a PDF back when it was just dealing with the player side of things. There was a separate PDF for the DMG. But Angus mentions the modularity and the taking out and adding in of all this rich information that is provided. You can turn your back on it or you can embrace it. As I see, don't let it put you off from what is, a really solid and usable system. I think this is something that I'm going to delve into more. I want to drill down into some of the mechanisms and the systems of 5e, and perhaps get some calls out to the Anchorite community and hear what they've got to say. But that is for another time. Let's get to another call in.
Hey Colin, this is Matt. Just a quick comment on your milestone XP. When I was running the Black Hack, Black Hack uses milestone XP, and we only did 3 sessions, but I was in the back of my head, evaluating how I would handle it if I ended up, running that into a campaign or something. And I really did not care for not giving out XP. At the end of the game saying, great game guys, thanks for playing, see you next week. It really felt weird not to hand out XP. In addition, I secretly, as a GM, award great players more XP because you guys kick butt. And not doing that, I felt like I was shortchanging good players of additional XP. So there you go. A 1 Jackson. Who would have thunk it?
And I am agreeing with Matt on this point, talking about milestone XP. I feel the currency that is XP is something I miss when it's not there. I could find other ways to reward the players, and that's totally doable, but yeah, I'm very conflicted, and it seems that Matt's the same. He's into playing Black Hack at the moment, and that uses milestone XP. So I don't actually know what he's going to do as a workaround for that. I dare say he'll come up with something. I guess really what we're talking about is incentivising and rewarding the players. I think in my mind, I'm probably going to stick with XP. I went away from it. I'm coming back to it. I want to reward them for finding treasure because I want to incentivise that kind of greediness, if you like, and going after the treasure, driving on the exploration. I think awarding experience for monsters is fine as well because it just makes sense. They're going to get combat experience and experience through encounters of a melee type nature. But I also want to reward overcoming obstacles like traps, reward just the passage of time, the business of like a players turning up and playing a session. So like maybe some sort of flat experience just for turning up. So I need to give it some more thought, but I want it a little bit more codified in my mind so that I'm not, I wouldn't say fretting about it, but I do get to the end of a session and sometimes don't know what to do for the best. Probably err on the side of caution and don't give out as much experience as I probably could. So, if you've got any further tips, this is something I really want to explore further. And, thanks again to Matt Random. If you want to check him out on Anchor or all the usual podcatchers, he does a shorter episode and he's been releasing quite a few lately. So check him out. So that was quite interesting. I had to step away for a little bit there. The boy was teeing off and I'm not allowed to watch. So I told him I'd gone, but basically I had to sneak back, hide in the bushes because there's no way I'm going to miss out on seeing him tee off. He was the first to tee off today in a 3-day competition, and it's the first sort of pretty sort of serious, potentially, if you win this, you get to play in Portugal or Spain in a final, so it's a proper national competition. So, it's quite a day for me, actually. A little bit nervous, but, I ain't going to tell him that, am I?
Hey, Colin, this is James Richards. Just wanted to call and reach out and say thanks for what you do. I think Froth has it right when he's encouraging folks to leave some kind of feedback on these blogs. But I think that applies to the Anchorite community as well. It's growing. I've been listening to a lot of folks. Some folks I'm just discovering. I can only stand social media so much. But these podcasts have been really good for me. I listen to a lot of you folks while I'm crafting dungeons or drawing maps or, making my silly monsters. And you're all good company, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate your positivity.
James Richards, thanks for taking time to reach out and give us some feedback, especially mentioning old Froth there. Of course he's right. Why would Froth ever be wrong? The Anchorites are a pretty cool bunch, very supportive, and if you've got an RPG endeavour or something you want to sort of share, you could do a lot worse than jumping on Audio Dungeon Discord, having a chat with the guys, or doing some call-ins to the various Anchorite shows. Get your voice heard, and before you know it, you'll probably be addicted and want to do your own podcast. At least that's how it worked for me. I'd like to thank everybody at this point for calling in. It's making the conversation very interesting. Still got call-ins to work through, so you've not been forgotten if you haven't heard your call-in yet. I've had to mess around with the order a little bit so it makes some more sense. But I'm getting there. And yeah, patrons over at Spike Pit, the pit crew, you're keeping me going and growing. Thanks to you guys, the loyal old guard. And there's a good number of anchorites in that number as well, talking of support. Finally, the listener. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to old Spike Pit. Take care, and I'll catch you later.